What's the deal with a 1-to-1 fat ratio versus a 2-to-1 ratio? Hi, in case you're new to this channel and don't know who I am Slick Nick, your personal keto bro. And no, I'm not a doctor, a dietitian, a nutritionist, or a personal trainer. I'm just a guy who happens to be a few weeks away from my 40th birthday, and I am very serious about reaching and maintaining my goals of fat loss and then making sure that I never go back to having a dad bod, as I have escaped from in the past year. And I have found that for me, going keto has been the best thing for me. It all started when I was counting calories, making sure I was getting a certain amount of protein. And I sort of got away from the whole protein thing when I went keto 3 months. It was almost like this. The last 3 months of 2020, I was just counting calories, making sure I got close to about 150 grams of protein a day, and I wasn't really paying attention to fat, and I wasn't really paying attention to carbs. I was just looking at the calories, making sure I was around 1,800 calories a day. So that's what I was doing. But then in January of this year, so it's been about 3 months now, I got really heavy into keto, and I focused not so much on the protein, but making sure I got enough fat. So like 150 grams of fat a day, and maybe only around 75 of protein a day. So I've had 3 months with the counting calories and focus on protein, and I've had 3 months of focusing on fat over protein. So I've been living in this 2-to-1 ratio, twice as much fat as protein, whereas the end of 2020, it was sort of kind of the other way around, if anything. So let's begin another 3 months. What I plan to do here in this year, from April, May, and June of this year, 2021, is to go back to the 1-to-1 ratio, basically aiming to have close to 150, 160 grams of protein a day, complete protein, meaning not plant-based, in other words, so eggs, cheese, meat, etc. But I'm still going to be really focusing on the calories to trim down even more, but to make sure I'm really up in my protein. I see something I've never done before is kind of combine the best of all worlds. So specifically, this is what's different this time around. I'm going to be aiming for about 1,800 calories a day. I am going to be aiming for around 150, 160 grams of complete protein a day. I'm not going to pay attention to fat because by default, fat tends to often be packaged with protein. Plus, you need healthy fats anyway, so I'm going to already be cooking my eggs in coconut oil and putting olive oil in my salad, or cooking my meat in salad. And I'm going to be eating cheese. I'm going to be doing those things anyway, so I don't really have to pay attention to the fat content, because being keto, I no longer believe that cholesterol is bad. I mean, I eat 3 eggs a day, every day, for example. What I believe is that ultimately, what causes you to be more likely to have a stroke or diabetes or heart attack is that you have the excess body fat. So if I'm able to be, under 20% body fat, despite all the cholesterol, in theory, I don't believe that I'm at risk for those things. And that's something, as I've always said on this series, I am a human science experiment. We're going to find out by me doing this whole thing. But I think that I can lose more body fat and build more muscle if I focus more back on this other thing. But the thing was, I'm counting my carbs compared to the end of last year. I wasn't. I was kind of falling into that keto category, but I wasn't limited to just 50 grams a day. So here's what we've got, just for review, and this is what we're going to be looking at from April, June of this year. We have me doing about 150 grams of complete protein a day, between 25 and 50 carbs a day, not really keeping up with fat. And of course now, and I wasn't doing this in 2020, I'm walking. I'm walking 2 to 5 miles a day, honestly, at this point, in addition to my weight training. So just to get a good idea of what the 1-to-1 ratio means. So Greek yogurt, which I have nearly every day, 16 grams of fat, 14 grams of protein. It's nearly the same. It's got almost as much protein as it does fat. Granted, it's 230 calories, but whereas before I was adding extra things like chia seeds and maybe peanut butter every day. I might not do that because the peanut butter is mostly fat and the protein that's in it is not complete protein, so that doesn't count towards building body mass. So another prime example are eggs, and I'm very serious about having my pasture raised eggs. So when you look at the nutrition on these, 70 calories, granted I have 3 of these, but it's per egg it's 5 grams of fat and it's 16 grams or actually 6 of protein. So 5 fat, 6 protein. So it's about 1 to 1. So as you can see, a lot of the things that I eat already that are keto approved are going to be that 1 to 1 ratio. Now I did start eating cottage cheese again. Now cottage cheese has a lot more protein than it does fat, and that's good to help increase my protein. And I'm also eating a lot more fish now, which fish hardly has any fat in it, but it's so much protein. So I think in the end, when you consider olive oil and you consider cheese and you consider nuts, the fat will basically take care of itself as far as that goes. But that's what I think would be interesting, because I've never done all of these things together like this. I either was really focused on protein and counting calories, or I wasn't focused as much on calories and I was focusing more on fat. But then I started counting the carbohydrates. So now all of those combined, and what's funny, this may sound restrictive, it may sound strict, but what I think is it's actually going to be a lot easier because I'll have things so predictable. And of course, obviously, intermittent fasting. Back in 2020, I wasn't as strict as I am now. Now I'm very serious about it, and I have been. So I think I'm going to eventually figure out a system that's going to be the most beneficial for me personally, and make it to where I don't have to worry about plateauing, because I think that's really what has inspired this change for me. It's been inspired by the fact that I know that as far as I'm not gaining fat necessarily, I feel like I'm probably gaining protein as I'm working out harder. Now I'm doing the HIIT and the TUT training, but I want to see more fat loss. I think what's happened since I've been doing full keto, I feel, is that I've actually gained more protein, but haven't lost as much fat during that process. So what I want to do is really see, can I successfully do both right now, starting in now, but ultimately I'm going to say April through June. Can I see more muscle mass and can I see more fat loss at the same time? So that's how I'm planning on doing it. I've said before, this is an experiment. If this thing doesn't work, then I'll change it. I'll stop being keto altogether if I see that it's not working for me. But so far, I think I am seeing the results in it, but I think that I can tweak it some and adjust it. And that's me being open-minded. Your comments belong right here.